Okay, so this is going to be the fourth type of problem when it comes to solving log equations. What you should notice is that the fourth type of problem is quite a bit like the first type of problem, except that the first type of problem deals with regular logs, and this is going to deal with natural logs, which is that ln thing that I talked about. So at its most basic form, it's like that first example where you have e to the x equals 5. Okay, so first thing you have to do is you have to make sure that you have to get the problem into its most basic form. And then to get rid of the e, you take the natural log of both sides. So then we're going to put ln into both sides. And you do ln because ln technically is log base e, but you don't write it log base e. It always gets written as ln. So taking the natural log of both sides, ln and e will cancel each other out, because just like the way that log base 2 of 2 goes away, because ln is log base e, that's why it cancels out, okay? So it's going to cancel out on that left side, and you're just going to be left with x. Again, on this side, nothing goes away. You put the natural log in to just get rid of the e part. So then you're just left with the natural log of 5, which is your answer, and that's it for that first one, okay? So going down and not across. Okay, so first things first, you have to get the problem into its most basic form, which means you have to get the e part by itself. So to get it by itself, you would start up by subtracting 3. 11 minus 3 is going to be 8. Divide by 2. Fine. Now it's in its most basic form, so you have to get rid of the e. So you're going to put natural log into both sides. Like with log, please make sure that these are lowercase letters. They don't need to be cursive. I make them cursive so that they don't look like ones, because the handwriting gets sloppy. So the natural log and the e go away, and then you have x equals the natural log of 4, and that's your answer. Last 3. So this one, while not horrible, is slightly messier than the other ones that we did, in that your exponent is not just x, which is fine. So you have to get the e part by itself and have the problem be in its most basic form. So you would add over the 7. So then 4 e to the 3x minus 2. 13 and 7 is going to be 20. Divide by 4. So then e to the 3x minus 2 equals 20 divided by 4 is going to be 5. Now you have to get rid of the e. So you'll put natural log into the problem. This will go away, and you got 3x minus 2 is the natural log of 5. And then this is just like the type 1 problem, in that while you need to solve for x, you don't actually combine anything together. So I'm going to add over the 5, or not the 5. I'm going to add over the 2 and divide by 3, but you don't actually put it together. Like, this won't mutate into the natural log of 7, ever. So then 3x is going to be 2 plus the natural log of 5, and then you just put everything over 3, making sure to extend the line underneath both of your parts. I'm going to write it over here so I'm not stuck in the corner. So then you're looking at 2 plus the natural log of 5 all over 3, and then that would be your answer. All right, 2 more. Okay, so getting the e part by itself, what you need to do is you're going to need to move over the 5 and then the 4. You need to move the 5 first, and then you'll multiply by 4. So you'll subtract 5. 8 minus 5 is going to be 3. Multiply both sides by 4. So then you have e to the x over 2 equals 4 times 3, which is 12. And then you say, okay, so now I got to get to the power. So you're going to put natural log into the problem. they get sloppier the more I write them. Make sure that you try to make them clear in your final answers. So then here, this will go away. You have x over 2 equals the natural log of 12. And then to finish solving for x, you're going to multiply by 2. But again, remember, you don't actually multiply by 2. It doesn't become the natural log of 24. You're multiplying this crazy decimal by 2. So then you just leave it 2 natural log of 12, okay? Make sure that you don't confuse this where you're multiplying with, like in the last problem, when we added over the 2 and had it be 2 plus. Then you added it over, so you should have a plus in the middle. Here, because you're multiplying, you shouldn't stick a plus in here because you're multiplying, okay? And you would leave it like that. All right, last one, which is probably the hardest type 4 problem that we deal with. It's really not that terrible, but people get confused by it because they mess the first step up and they make it weird. So I like to make sure that I talk about this one. So ideally, we don't make it weird. So this one is different than all of the other ones in that the E is stuck on the bottom of the problem, which is bad. So you need to get out of the bottom of the problem. The way that you're going to do that is you need to multiply both sides by the entire bottom portion. Kind of like when we're solving for x, when we did type 2 and type 3, and we had to multiply that bottom part over to get it out of the bottom. It's the same concept. So you want to multiply by that mess there. Here it'll cross out, you have 3. This side you're going to distribute your 8, so then you're looking at 40 minus 16e to the 2x. Now, you can do this however you want, but I don't like to have what I'm solving for be on the right side of the problem. I have found that when people do that, they make it weird. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to swap sides. I'm going to put this part on the left side and the 3 on the right side, changing nothing other than position. So I'm going to subtract the 40. So then negative 16, because watch your signs, e to the 2x is going to be 3 minus 40, which is negative 37, divide by negative 16. So then e to the 2x. Negative 37 over negative 16 doesn't reduce except to get rid of the negatives. Fine. So now you got to get to the 2x. You're going to take the natural log of both sides. So then here this goes away and you have 2x equals the natural log of 37 over 16. Notice, and again, this is a place that you need to be really careful because this is a fraction. Make sure you write it like this and not like this, okay? The line needs to be just underneath the 37 because this means something completely different, okay? You want to be clear with what the problem means, okay? Because it's the natural log of this. If you think that you're going to extend the line, if you're not careful, put parentheses around it. You can, that's not wrong. I don't often put them in because it's more writing, but realistically, having it there versus not having it there, it doesn't matter, okay? That would be messed up though. So now you're going to divide by 2. And that's when the line has to go underneath everything, okay? So same thing, in the interest of not being smooshed into the corner. Then you're looking at the natural log of 37 over 16. And I'm going to put the parentheses there so that I'm not tempted to write it inappropriately over 2. And you can't actually divide it by 2 because this is where you're not doing any real simplifying. Okay, and that is type 4.